So everyone saw the news, the report on Monday that Sherrone Moore will be suspended for the third and fourth game of the 2025 season. Kind of hilarious there, Jack, that, he gets to pick his own suspension. If I get in a fight with my wife, she wants me to sleep on the couch, something like that. I'm picking my suspension. I'm going to go check into the Four Seasons Hotel. That's kind of how that is. I guess, hey, it's his alma mater, wants to coach against them, whatever. Maybe a little slight at Nebraska that they would pick to have Sherrone Moore. But although not confirmed, not settled, that's the wide report. But I want to address the, wide rumor out there and seemingly truth that Michigan has also self-imposed some recruiting sanctions, some that are currently going on now, and that will be going on throughout this 2025 season that we'll talk about here on today's Michigan Football Report. Had a team meeting today. Wednesday, we do our production meetings and get some slack from the people. Say, get to 30, 35,000, and we're going to chunk away with it. We're going to do about 8 or 10 videos over the next 2 weeks. And so let's get 49 videos, put a nice crisp number, 34,450. Subscribe to the Michigan Football Report if you want the inside scoop, the best analysis, and the largest community of Michigan football on YouTube. Let's get it going with Young Harbaugh right now. Major buzz that Michigan is in a self-imposed 3-week. That's what the blog boys are saying. I haven't got that exact number, but apparently Michigan has not been recruiting on the road in this spring session where they can go out and see players at their high school. They can go out and see players in 7-on-7 informal workouts in the 2026-2027 class. Michigan has not been on the road for the last couple weeks, potentially the next week, as part of a rumored 3-week recruiting suspension that they are presenting to the NCAA as part of what they want to say they did wrong and is apt punishment for the program for anything related to Connor Stalions, to Signgate, to Sherrone Moore deleting 55 text messages that him and Stalions had sent over the years, which were recovered, which were sent to the NCAA. And I think at this point it's going to be decided whether or not that 2-game suspension, whether or not these current spring recruiting limitations and some limitations in the fall that I'll talk about here in a second will be enough for the NCAA to put this wild witch hunt that just makes Ohio State fans and Michigan State fans rub their inner thigh on a daily basis. You get all kind of excited because put it in the past, move on to the Bryce Underwood era, the national championship era of the future. But I never stopped thinking about these guys. I think politically, this is a campaign slogan in 2020, no game that year, and then Michigan's ripped up 4 straight, beat Ohio State again. Bosa. And, we got some Bosas in the chat. We also got Young Harbaugh, the man responsible for 2 of those 4 Bosas. Jack, show me your jersey. Maybe the people haven't seen it yet.
I need to say something to the Ohio State fans. First off, Young Harbaugh. I just need to say something because I do a lot of community. I answer a lot of the comments on the channel. You guys need to get more creative content. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing every time. Cheaters, the hammer's coming. Oh, you're gonna get the title vacated from 2023. Mm-hmm. Guys, you need new material. I've heard it 75 times in the last month. Get some new material. And you're going to lose again this year anyway, so it doesn't matter. Get
some new material. How about stop Kalel Mullings on 3rd and 3 or whatever that was, and don't let Michigan kick a game-winning field goal to win 13-10. Beat Ohio State again. I want to make sure that everyone watching doesn't forget that we haven't taken our eye off the ball. It's going to be 5 straight, 6 straight seasons. There are kids that are going to be turning 7 years old this year, I believe, Jack, that have never seen an Ohio State win over Michigan. Comment Bosa. Comment 5 times to get 5 straight wins. So let's talk about these recruiting sanctions, recruiting restrictions, we'll call them. So 3 weeks right now is what's out there. And I'm not going to tell you, I usually tell you guys when I've got an inside source, an inside scoop. I've kind of waned off of recruiting over the years. I just kind of felt like it wasn't my part of my role. It wasn't, something I was die hard on. And I'll let the blog boys do that for the most part. And if there's things that are going on, I'll get some scoops from here or there. But I'm just going to lead on what's being presented out there. I think it's probably a good move. This is not a time of year that Michigan's going to probably lose a ton of momentum. They still have the fall. They still have all summer. And really, Michigan doesn't really know what their NIL dollars are going to look for. And I I've actually seen it rumored out there on Twitter, on different Facebook groups that we're a part of, is that could Michigan just put this in place right now, slow play it in the spring a little bit more, and build the NIL package up. Let some guys commit there, figure out what their deal was. Some running backs here, some wide receivers here, some defensive linemen, and like, oh, you're getting $250 a year from Oklahoma, from Notre Dame, from Nebraska, from Ohio State. Well, cool. How about $1.3 million for 4 years? Like, double the offer. Come in there for the guys you want at the last minute. That was the Florida State recruiting strategy under Bobby Bowden. Maybe not the NIL stuff. Maybe they put it under the table. Was to let guys take visits, let guys commit elsewhere, and then really pour it on with the guys they really wanted the 2, 3, 4 weeks before signing day. And if you guys remember, if you were old enough to follow recruiting back 15, 20 years ago, Florida State always had these bonanzas of like 3 5-stars and 6 top 100 guys flip or commit to them on National Signing Day. That kind of seems to be what the tea leaves are shaking out for Michigan. The Wolverines did have a commit, their highest rated commit, and the, quarterback of the future potentially, right? He'll only be 1 year removed from Bryce Underwood, likely 2 years, as I would expect Underwood not to redshirt, and this kid Brady Smigiel, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, 6'5", over 200 pounds, out of Newbury Park, California, a little SoCal action, top 100 player in the 24/7 Sports Composite, number 80 overall. Number 7 quarterback. He is rumored to be already out there recruiting on Michigan's behalf. We saw what happened with J.J. McCarthy back in the 2021 class. Was able to get all kinds of extra guys, most notably Donovan Edwards and others, to make that a big-time class. And Michigan's hoping that this quarterback, top 100 player, 80 overall, number 12 player in California in the 24/7 Sports Composite, can be that early quarterback commit. It's not even early. It's May of his junior year, and frankly, he could be on campus in 8 months in January. So that's the class right now, 5 commits, which does not rank Michigan very highly in the recruiting ranking. So don't expect this to change with this 3-week recruiting pause, which probably reverberates into like kind of a 6, 7, 8-week pause of momentum of getting any next guys to commit. Because Michigan now, with those 5 commits, has the number 12 class in the Big Ten. And if you look at the recruiting rankings, hey, they're above the Seymour on the recruiting rankings for 24/7. They're number 44 class overall. A few weeks back, they were like number 56, right above TC or SMU, and the fans of other programs were screenshotting that, putting it on social media, making fun of Michigan. But hey, now we're in the top 50. But you saw it last year. This was a team and a program that had top 25, top 30 class for most of the summer into some of the fall, and got Andrew Babalola, got another offensive lineman whose name is escaping me at the moment, and Bryce Underwood, and ended up with the number 6 class, a top 10 class, after everyone was saying this class is going to be a disaster. Sherrone Moore is ruining it. So we will see how things shake out. The saga of Connor Stalions, and is it going to not only impact this 2026 class, is it going to have ramifications for 2027? Will these recruiting sanctions hurt Michigan long term and even into the season? We're going to talk about that here in a second, because I've got more on this NCAA investigation and the impact to the Michigan football program. But there's something more important, Jack, I want to talk about. I want you guys to really listen in here, is that we're excited to be working with Factor. I love Factor. They are sponsoring the Michigan Football Report. Make this your best season yet with nutritious 2-minute meals from Factor. Eating well has never been this easy. Just heat up and enjoy, giving you more time to do what you want. Jack, wife is out of town, New Orleans for a work meeting. They've got quarterly meetings she got to travel to. I saw it on the calendar a couple weeks ago. Boom, made sure I had an order of Factor meals coming to my door. They arrived on Monday, and I am covered for the week. No wife needed. Get outside instead of prepping and cooking indoors. Factor meals arrives fresh and ready to eat, perfect for any active lifestyle. They've got 45 weekly menu options, so you can pick gourmet meals that fit your goals, choosing from Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. They've got satisfying breakfasts, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. It's easy to savor more this spring. Factor Meals, packing the flavor with none of the fuss. Get started at factormeals.com/MichiganChat50 off. Use code MichiganChat50 off. The code is the same as the link. You got to go to that link. Got to use that code to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Code MichiganChat50 off. It is down in the comments. It is down in the description. Click the link. Use the code 50% off plus free shipping on your first box from Factor. Can't wait to get mine tonight, We're filming here in the afternoon, and I'm about 4 hours away from my factor in the belly. So what is the recruiting impact on 2026 going to be? We'll see. But I want to know from you guys this question. Will these 2 game suspensions, the third and fourth game, Oklahoma, or Central Michigan and Nebraska, will that be the final punishment for Sherrone Moore from a suspension, from missing time? And remember, Jim Harbaugh in 2023 on both suspensions, he was able to coach during the week. NCAA, I think, changed that rule after that, targeted Harbaugh like they did many things, the recruiting camps, all that different stuff in 2015, 16, changed all that. If you're suspended from the game, you cannot participate in team activities. So Sherrone will be away from Schembechler Hall for those full 2 weeks. He's going to kind of have to pack in some game plans, maybe away from it in those 2 weeks leading up to them when they're focusing on New Mexico and Oklahoma. Will this be the final punishment? Give me a simple yes or no down in the comments. So I want to focus on the home schedule for just a minute that's on the screen. It's back in 2023 when Michigan had 8 home games. Part of the sanctions or self-imposed that they negotiated with the Big Ten and the NCAA for Burgergate was Harbaugh's first 3-game suspension, a suspension of Sherrone Moore, and I think 1 or 2 other coaches got suspended a game the first 3 games of the year. It was very lightly talked about then, but Michigan also self-imposed, which was agreed to by the Big Ten NCAA, a 2-game no official visits for home games, which is a big part of the recruiting strategy of almost every major college football team. Get you on campus, show you the pageantry, show you the love, big-time meals. You get carted around in some nice luxury SUVs. You get sometimes a private jet, sometimes a first-class ticket for you, your parents, your friends, etc. The word on the street right now is that what we're going to hear about next is you got the 2-game suspension, you got the 3-week recruiting pause during the spring, is that Michigan will forego home recruiting official visit weekends and unofficial visit weekends for 2 of their home game weekends. Toss those 6 games up really quick, Jack. I kind of want to speculate if I can. It's not going to be Ohio State. I would say it's probably, if I were to choose which ones, just guess at the top of my head, I bet it'd be that New Mexico game because it's going to be super hot. If you've ever been to one of those late August, early September games at the Big House, it could be like 98 degrees, 95 degrees. You're sweating your butt off. And so it's a little cooler 2 weeks later. That Central Michigan game, I bet that's a night game on either Big Ten Network or NBC. So I would say that's one that Michigan will keep. And then maybe that Purdue weekend, but who knows? Maybe the NCAA is not going to give them any choice. Say, hey, make it the first 2 games or else you don't get to pick and choose like you did with Sherrone Moore and his suspension. But if I had to pick, the bad weather in that early November, you get a lot of that rainy weather, that sleet. It's snowing all the time yet, so it's a little softer. I would pick those 2. The second game, the first game of the year, and then the Purdue game is the ones I would pick. But Michigan may not have the ability to just kind of pick and choose like they did with Sherrone Moore suspension. The full schedule here is recap it one more time. New Mexico, Oklahoma. Sherrone will coach for those games. Suspended if the reports are true. Central Michigan, Nebraska. Go on a bye week to end September. Then you go into October. Wisconsin. You go on the road to California to play USC. Back home against the West Coast team Washington at Michigan State, which will probably be some sort of I'm guaranteeing that's going to be an NBC night game. I guarantee there's going to be some fisticuffs with those scoundrels up in East Lansing. Thanks, kind of weekend before Halloween. Purdue on November 1st as we turn the calendar. Bye week, at Northwestern, Game I might go to, Jack. You might want to consider going to. You never know. At Wrigley Field, at Maryland. I went to the Maryland game in the 2023 season. I don't know if you remember that, Jack. That place stinks to watch a game. It was so windy. It was so bad. The setup, the sun is in your eyes half the time. I wouldn't recommend going to a game at Maryland and then home against Ohio State before playing in the Big Ten Championship, of course. So we're going to see. Is Sherrone Moore going to be suspended for more than 2 games? Will Michigan actually get that 2-game recruiting, no visits, no official visits, no unofficial at-home games? I'm guessing those are going to turn out to be true. I hope it's enough for the NCAA, for the Big Ten to just kind of put this to rest. But the insiders at other fan bases are going to say, the hammer's coming, the hammer's coming. You should check out that post, the little Dave Portnoy not knowing how to use a hammer on a nail. I don't think the hammer's coming, but we will see. One more reminder, make sure to subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/MichiganTV. Hit that subscribe button. Let's get 49 subscribers to get a nice round number. 34,450. Some other news I want to address that came out. It was like Sherrone Moore Monday. I think this was Tuesday. It was the weekend. I can't remember what it was, but May 4th. So what was that? That was Sunday, right? So that was Sunday. This was first. And then Sherrone News suspension room report was on Monday. So Florida, the official account that Santa Ono is the lone finalist recommended by their board of trustees to be the 14th president. Say 14th? Yeah, 14th president at the University of Florida. Now, that's a step down academically, right? Florida's a good school. These state schools have really come up in the years. I don't know if you've noticed, like back 20 years ago, Jack, schools like Ohio State, Florida, Texas was still pretty good then, but a lot of these states, Alabama's a good one. Ohio State, Alabama, Florida, good ones that were kind of considered like, oh yeah, you would go there, like you'll get in there easily. They have raised their academic profiles and have become much more competitive to get in. Ohio State's a very competitive school to get into now. 20 years ago, it was like if you had a 3.1, you can get into Ohio State if you're in the state. But Santa Ono, after 3 years at Michigan, seemed like a program guy, seemed like a guy who supported all the right things, led his high, from an academic perspective, the Jawan thing didn't work out really in his favor. The Jim Harbaugh, exiting didn't really work out there. The whole Connor Stalions saga, he handled it okay, but some people say he was a little bit too boisterous with the whole bet and all that. Would be the shortest tenure by over 2 years of any president in the University of Michigan history. And some people are saying, oh, he's getting out before the sanctions come to Michigan. That's ridiculous, right? I don't think this has anything to do with athletics. And certainly, Florida's not going to hire him if they think he's getting, his school's getting sanctioned by the NCAA. They're still in the NCAA. That would follow him as well, right? They might have to, do something with Florida or some sort of show cause or, hey, he can't attend athletic events for 2 years or something like that if he was running from incoming sanctions like people claim Harbaugh did or Pete Carroll back in the day. But not so fast, my friend. This may not be a complete done deal, right? Typically, when a school puts it out, he's the final candidate, he's the recommendation. That means it's a done deal. They're just working out the final nooks and crannies of, does he get a suite at the football stadium? Does he get private jet time to, travel and do donor stuff like that? Byron Donalds, who is a outspoken and, I think fairly famous because he's on the news a lot. He's one of these guys who gets his picture, gets interviewed on the different news networks every single night, it seems, but is a favorite of President Trump, a favorite of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, is the favorite to be the next governor. And he's a congressman now, the next governor of the state of Florida when I think the election is next year in 2026. He does not want Santa Ono, and he is trying to push all he can, getting the support of DeSantis, not publicly yet, but it seems it's trending that way, to not accept this, to not let Florida officially offer this job. And it's because political-based stuff. Here's his quote here, basically saying the Board of Trustees of Florida needs to go back and do an evaluation, what they think on this one. He said, I'll tell you in Florida, listen, Governor Ron DeSantis, hey, they've led this. You guys have seen it if you've been paying attention to political stuff over the last 3-4 years, getting rid of DEI. And part of his interviews yesterday, he was on Fox News. I believe I saw him on CNN talking about this. Hell, Fox News, Jack, and I'm not trying to get political with the people watching, but they did an entire 6-minute segment on the damn hiring of Santa Ono of the University of Florida, and it basically said, DEI woke president, to Florida kind of thing. And they're pulling up his clips, which, looking back, some of them don't seem that great of when he started at Michigan, graduation a couple years ago, basically saying hey, the things that a lot of people rebelled at. I think we saw it in the election of we should consider race and everything, and we should consider gender, we consider these things and not merit. Academic, a lot of people think merit-based should be the only requirement for getting accepted into a college, for getting accepted into a certain program, for going to a grad school. And they're taking the quotes that Santa Ono made pro that stuff to not have it merit-based and have it more race and quota-based. And Florida doesn't want that. So this could end up blowing up in Santa Ono's face. And could he remain in Michigan, or would Michigan actually just fire him? It's kind of the writing on the wall. I accepted a job there. They don't want me anymore. Can I come back to you guys? I don't think Michigan would do that. They kind of look like the chumps a little bit. Ono also reportedly interviewed and pursued the Harvard job when that came available a year ago, and they fired their their school president, and I think the Oxford job, which is in Great Britain, kind of like the Harvard of Great Britain there. So he might be not the president at either school. I'm not sure how it's going to work out if they pull the offer. Is Michigan going to keep him? Are they going to fire him? Would either side have to owe him any money, or does he just become a free agent for whatever school wants him? So I think it's an interesting story, something that's kind of going away from athletics, but a lot of people are talking about it related to Michigan football, and I don't think it really has anything to do, but did want to keep you guys up to date on what the latest is on Santa Ono. Do you believe in Santa, whether Ono or Claus? If you believe in Santa, give me an S down in the comments. If you don't believe in Santa, either Ono or Claus or both, let me know down in the comments. Give me an N. It is the Michigan Football Report. We're going to have a video on Thursday, Friday, probably this weekend, and then back with a lot of things to say next week as well. I will see you then. Go Blue.